What's up, guys? Gonna talk about a superhero movie, or comic book movie at least. Swamp Thing. Now, I had a whole list of movies I could talk about. And to be honest with you, I never really got the superhero comic book movie bug. I was always action, adventure, shooter, horror kind of guy. Sci-fi too. But with all the Avengers talk and this and that, the hype, it kind of segued me into that. And I appreciate it. I do love the comic book stuff now. Avengers, all the series, the Loki series, this one, that one, all of them. And I can really talk. I could talk about any of them really in somewhat detail. Obviously, I love Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight series. I could definitely talk a lot about that. Love the Joker. Obviously, there's Marvel's entire slew of movies. Um, yeah, X-Men. That's another one. Wolverine. Love the Wolverine. I could talk about all these things, but something I grew up with as a kid. You know, uh, Vertigo, DC Comics. Because I collected. Yeah, I collected. Venom, Spider-Man, this one, that one. But really, I was into Godzilla, Aliens versus Predator. Stuff like that. Really weird comics. Tales from the Crypt, the Vault of Horror or Terra, whatever. Um, but this one kind of stood out on my video rental store shelf, and it's Swamp Thing. Now, Swamp Thing was booted again, I think. Yeah, it was a show for like DC or whatever, and it got canceled. That's because I think no one really has any interest in a plant monster. They're like, what the hell is it? And I think it's because people just don't know that much about Swamp Thing. He's kind of like Marvel's version of Swamp Thing, Man Thing. Yep, that exists. But anyway, Swamp Thing I think is cool. I had a great director behind it. One of my favorite directors, Wes Craven. All right, so I'll just go in. It's listed under horror sci-fi, but it's so like friendly. There's shoot 'em up scenes in there, but I think anyone could probably watch this today and like not be offended or grossed out or whatever. So it's this doctor. So anyway, let me explain what Swamp Thing is in case you guys don't know. So Swamp Thing is about this doctor. He's like a botanist, right? Really fancy botanist who wants to cure world hunger. With all these plants and stuff. Alec Holland, and his work is so big, and important. There's this government agent, Alice Cable, who's played by Adrienne Barbeau. If you don't know who that is, she played in a lot of B movies, a lot of serious movies too. But she has big cult status. Adrienne, definitely check her out. I'll leave a link of the of this version because there's a lot of Swamp Things out there. There was like a '90s series on Sci-Fi, which is awesome, by the way. Uh, anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself here. So this one, 1982 Swamp Thing, um, from Wes Craven. All right. Anyway, so this doctor, Alec Holland, um, these this like rival, rich, evil henchman guy, Arcane. He wants to steal this scientist's work pretty much. So he has all these henchmen type kind of go in and mess stuff up. Big fight ensues, and one of the chemical agents that Dr. Holland's working on spills on him. He gets pretty much ignites him, sets on fire, jumps in the lake or river, whatever. It looks like the bayou, like Louisiana, and they think he's dead. The government agent is like, oh my god, what do I do now? She tries to do her thing. But yeah, everything looks fine and dandy for the evildoers here. But the dude, the scientist, Holland, morphs into Swamp Thing, pretty much. So his body fused with the plants, I guess, or whatever, and we got Swamp Thing now. So needless to say, he takes revenge, and kind of saves the day. And but he's always portrayed as I am Swamp Thing. It's always a somber tone, pretty much. Swamp Thing is just like, I'm not here to say that, he's not super, he's like the complete opposite of like Superman I mean, he's dark, but not dark like Batman, almost tragic in a way, because I'm sure he probably would rather be human, making, science experiments. But no, he's now Swamp Thing. But the his expanded universe, like the comics, comes across a lot of people. It's huge. There's a lot of comics with Swamp Thing, and this was the first, somebody tackled it. And Wes Craven, for those who don't know Wes Craven, he did A Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger. That's his thing. The Hills Have Eyes, all that. So he did this, and I think he was kind of like introduced to this, because this doesn't seem like something Wes would probably do, let alone anything involving comics probably. But it kind of fell into his lap, and there you go. Now we got it, and it's not the best movie, or interpretation of Swamp Thing, because there was another one after this, The Return of Swamp Thing, which was a little more pulpy action, comedy kind of. And then you had the series in the 90s on the Sci-Fi Channel, which was, like I said, fantastic. Definitely check that out. I'm sure it's available somewhere. And then it was reinvented again for DC. Because DC had like their own on-demand thing. But I guess it never received enough interest, and it just fell flat. That's that. I don't know, I like it. It kind of holds something special in my heart because, like, these were one of the comics I picked up because I like Swamp Thing because he's like the oddball out of the bunch, Not too many people know him. He's like in the shadows, and he doesn't really like, doesn't stand out. But when you see, I mean, it's an imposing figure. He's like a swamp monster, but not with claws, nothing. He still kind of retains his human form, but more swampy, pretty much. And I don't know. I think it was cool. It's something that really stuck with me. And I believe I own it, actually. Blu-ray, somewhere. But I think it's fun. I think it's a great story, And yeah, it's just like, it's like one of those things that, like, you watch, like, late Saturday night or Sunday night, and you're like, what is going on here? And that's this. And like I said, it's not really violent per se. I mean, there's scenes, like I said, there's guns going off, people getting set on fire, people getting smashed around by Swamp Thing. But like I said, it's just fun. It's one of those movies you could like sit around with your friends and drink a beer, and it does have Wes Craven's kind of charm. There's an actor in there that you guys might recognize from Last House on the Left, which was a Wes Craven movie. Really violent, by the way. Definitely, that's another one you should check out. But yeah, Swamp Thing, if it's on, I'll definitely watch it. I don't see nothing wrong with it. A lot of people probably will find it boring today, but I don't know. Like I said, I liked it. He's my kind of superhero. Like you said, he's kind of in the shadows, works behind the scenes, controls the earth, the plants, pretty much. So that's a really big power if you think about it, And like I said, it just stuck with me since a kid until today. I think I even tried to get my hands on a Comic-Con exclusive figure. I remember I was searching a long time for that. And, one day. But anyway, yeah, I say definitely give it a shot. If you haven't heard of Swamp Thing, or if you watched the DC one and maybe you're wondering like, not my cup of tea, watch the ones before. I mean, 80s movies have a charm. Or watch the 90s series. 90s weren't afraid to use practical effects. And there's that. So, I'm not sure how long it ran. Because I'm going way back, early 90s. I'm sure I watched like reruns, by the time I got to it. But it was cool, and like I said, I think it's something, people could watch today and, have a blast. Alright guys, that's my little review of 1982's Wes Craven Swamp Thing. Do yourself a favor, check it out. You be the judge. Alright guys, peace.